Well, howdy. We're going to talk about some great steaks today and what makes a great steak. U.S. beef is legendary for its flavor, and part of that flavor comes from marbling. The marbling is all based on corn. Corn comes across, makes the fat very white, and really helps the steak become superior. In the U.S., the tradition has gone on for 100 years of the cowboys raising cattle and raising beef for consumption. And that is the goal here, is to get the best steaks. And these cuts I'm looking at today are some undiscovered cuts that are just perfect for a home grilling at a great value. Flat iron, beautiful steak, second most tender muscle after the tenderloin. Another steak I'm going to show you today is a Delmonico. Same as a ribeye, about half the price, just highly marbled, beautiful. It's the cut right next to the ribeye from a different primal cut, but the price point is very much less than a ribeye. I'm going to show you how to cook two of these today. So I'm looking forward to showing you some tricks on how to make some of the best steaks taste the best they can in the world. I'm very excited about showing you how to cook the flat iron steak. The flat iron is the second most tender muscle after the tenderloin. Can you imagine? Look at the marbling in that. It's just like, oh, it's just perfect. You know what? I often use this as tartare in my restaurant. So beautiful. But when you grind it fresh, all the wonderful flavors of the pepper come right out. I like using sea salt. It has a more natural flavor, and it doesn't have iodine in it. Iodine's like a metal. It's a little rough. Next, I'm using some paprika. This particular one is a little bit slightly smoked, but you can use regular paprika. In the States, we use chili powder. Chili powder is a little different. It has some cumin and some oregano in it, so it's not quite pure, but this is pure smoked paprika. This is cayenne. Cayenne is what puts the whoo, man, is it spicy. Whoo. So be a little careful unless you're me and you like a lot of spice, but treat the cayenne gently. Next, I'm using some marjoram. Marjoram is a spice similar to oregano, but just a little more, has a little more sage aspect to it. Really, really nice. Great spice for beef. Use granulated as opposed to garlic powder, because garlic powder is more cornstarch than garlic. At least this one is garlic pieces that have been ground down and a little more pure. Already added the mustard. And that's basically our mix here. I've got a little bit of everything. I'm going to give it a little couple little twists. You can see the smoke coming off the pan. The pan's nice and hot. I often get asked, well, how hot should it be? Well, you always want to test. If you can put your hand there and count how long you can hold it, that'll tell you how hot your grill is or how hot your pan is. You want to be able to hold it for about 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds at the most. And I'm going to take a little bit of my rosemary here, and I'm going to use it as like a little brush. So here we go. I have the steak. We're going to take our rub. We're going to put the rub on here. And that's it. We're going to do that on both sides. The grill is nice and smoking right now. The oil I put on the steak is going to help the spice stick to it. And here we go. I'm going to shake off the excess. The sizzle is the moisture in the steak, and that sizzle is going to slow down just a little bit. And when I hear that slowing down, that means the caramelization is almost done and it's ready to flip. So when you flip the steak, what you want to do is put it just a little off to the side of where it was originally, because that'll be another hot spot. If you put it on the same spot, that piece is already cool because the energy's left the pan and gone into the steak. This pan is very heavy, very important. You don't want to use a thin aluminum pan, because what happens is this pan holds all the energy, it holds all the heat. So this steak probably weighs, I don't know, maybe 100, 125 grams, and it's not very thick. So I have to be careful about the temperature. The pan needs to be heavy to hold the heat. So as the steak's cooking, the energy can go to the steak. Well, I'm a big believer in medium rare. And the way you find medium rare is, there's a couple of ways of doing it, but the one I love is you take your hand, You touch the little steak, you touch this little muscle here. And when you go like this muscle gets tight. And so that's okay, and that's medium rare. And then that's medium well, and then this is well done. And you can see it's really tough. So again, to get to a medium rare, that's gonna be about 115 Fahrenheit, about 46 Celsius. I'm looking forward to getting off camera and eating this steak, I'm not gonna lie to you. So now we get to play with the Delmonico steak. The Delmonico is virtually the same steak as a ribeye, less than half the price. Just a great steak. The steak, you want to take it out, let it rest a little bit. By rest, I mean you want it to get to closer to room temperature. And the reason is this: if you take a cold steak straight out of the fridge, an extreme example would be out of the freezer, it's going to stay cold on the inside, and you want it to be able, the temperature to be able to change pretty quickly. If the change is slow, you're going to end up with raw center and burnt outside, and just not good. The other trick I'll tell you is when you put string around it, always go at least 3 times, because what will happen is the string will hold on to itself, and then we go boom. Now we have, look at that beautiful steak. And this will just help hold its shape while we're cooking it. And now we're going to put a little oil on it. And the oil is just to help me keep the rub to stick to the steak. And I'm using just a little bit of olive oil. And I like using my hands. This is where I'm putting the love on the steak right now. Again, this is a Delmonico. It's literally where they cut the ribeye off of a steer. The very next cut is a Delmonico. So you pay premium top dollar for those ribeyes, but the very next cut sitting here in the chuck is these Delmonicos, and you get 2 or 3 out of a chuck. Just delightful. So you can see the smoke coming out, you can hear the sizzle. Steak's doing what it's supposed to be doing. So while it's doing its thing, I'm going to do a little trick here. I'm taking a lemon, and this lemon, I'm going to put just a little bit of oil on it, and I'm going to put it on the grill next to this steak. The reason why is the acid from the lemon is going to help the steak flavor later, and it's a really great garnish. And it's very important to look for highly marbled meat, because that means it's going to end up being juicier. It's going to have typically more beef flavor. And the legendary U.S. steaks, that's their big difference, is that marbling. It makes all the difference in the world. This is going to be good, really good. And now we wait. Can't rush this. You gotta let it do its thing. We're gonna touch it and see. It's still quite rare. You can see it gives a little bit here. Huh? So we just gotta let it. You can't rush it. You gotta take your time on it. So you want to take it out, put it on the cutting board, let it rest, just 3 or 4 minutes, and then the pressure diminishes because the heat's no longer there, and the meat fibers can hold all the juices, and that's going to make for a juicier steak. And one of the things about U.S. beef is when you eat a U.S. steak and you're chewing on it, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th chew still very, very juicy because the meat fibers have held on to all this juiciness. If you eat a lesser steak, you only get 1 or 2 chews, and then it's kind of dry and fibrous, and that's not a U.S. steak at all. U.S. steaks are going to be juicy, flavorful. I just want to hug this steak. It's so good right now.